The cost, this is an expensive trade, but it's going to cost you $1,056 per. That's your potential loss. Of course, your potential gain could be quite nice, could be quite profitable. So as I go down my list, I may want to look for stocks that have high movement, very high movement. You can see that Caterpillar has 4.97, and it's strong. I don't tend to like to trade stuff that's less than 5.5, 6%. I look at Palantir. I see that it's 17 strong and it's very cheap. So Palantir would be something that I would personally trade around earnings because it's very cheap. It's got a lot of width. And if I lose, I only lose $157. So this is how we trade the BullWhip, which in this case, right now, today is 17. It could change because remember, we're putting this trade on the 5th, and today is the 4th. So this trade and it's post-market. So this trade would go on Monday, 5 minutes before the close for a Tuesday move. I'm going to be out on Tuesday, but this option expires on Friday. If you watch my video on the butterfly, the longer dated butterfly, the less gamma you have. And the closer to expiry, the more gamma you have. Also, you have more of a total loss. However, because the width of this is so wide, this, I believe, is a good trade. And it's also strong, which means there's a good 70, 60, 70% chance of making money. Eli Lilly, in this particular case, is very, very expensive. It's $2,338 for one BullWhip. It's a strong trade. It's not a very strong trade. And the expected absolute move, I wouldn't trade this. Let's go down. Doesn't mean you can't hit a home run with it. Spotify. Very strong. 10%. Very good move. Very strong. It's expensive, but I would trade it. It's nice and wide. I've got a nice 10th, good positive gamma. The trade I'll be putting on is on the pre-market, so I'd be putting it on the night of the 5th, and then, of course, I would take it off either the morning of the 6th, depending on how you want to trade it. And, of course, there's 3 days to expiry. Let's take a look down the list, and we are now on Spotify. Let's take a look at Uber. Uber. Very cheap, $255 to trade it. It's past my 5.5, 6%, 6.61. Very strong, high profitability. $255. I definitely would put on the BullWhip on this one, maybe even buy 2 or 3 of them. And I like that trade. So that's a trade I'd be making. Alibaba. Alibaba is strong. Alibaba is very cheap, but the movement is kind of tight. Well, you know, what's $181? I'd have to skip going out to dinner one night, but it's that cheap of a trade. Maybe you take a flyer for $181. And so on and so forth. We got AstraZeneca, pre-market, 2.62 week. Definitely not going to trade that. The cost on this trade is $70, and not going to trade AstraZeneca. And Zillow is coming out on the 13th. Not recommended. Not going to trade Zillow. Definitely not going to trade Zillow. And so on and so forth. Look at Twilio. Let's take a look at Twilio. Good movement, weak. Cost $173. The BullWhip is a very, very profitable way to trade.